Okay, thanks to you guys. I mean, I moderate a lot of events, but rarely do we have such an activity from the audience. So I believe these technologies are helping because if you had to stand up and ask a question using microphone, not so sure. So thank you, and thanks also to our online audience. Make sure you participate using Slido as well. Okay, our next speaker actively contributes to the elaboration of Latvia's position on climate and environmental matters within European Union, which is very important. And she has played a very important role in elaboration of Latvia's position on different crucial EU policies, including the common agricultural policy. And our next speaker comes from the Ministry of Agriculture in Latvia, Dace Arāja. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Oh, very good. Yeah, my name is Dace Arāja. I'm the Deputy State Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, and my duties are related to climate and environmental aspects in relation to agriculture and forestry sectors. And the main aim of my presentation today is to give you a short overview of OrgBalt project results for developing climate and environmental policy for the land use sector in Latvia. Agriculture and forestry plays a vital role in our economy. This is undeniable facts. At the same time, they are not only economic and social perspectives of the sector, which has to be taken into account. But recently, we are facing these additional challenges like climate and environment that significantly affects the current and future developments of the and trends of the both sectors. Did you see the next slide? Because it's not changing in my file.
We see just the first one currently.
There's something happening then because I can't change.
Although we see the point, oh, now it changed, and now it's back, and now it changed.
Yes, okay. Now it's that's okay. Then let's continue, and I'll start my presentation with the slide, which probably is very well known for you, but it shows the common climate targets for the EU for 2050. In the graph, you can see the current situation in the EU, what is the goal for 2030, and our way to reach climate neutrality by 2050. The main decisions regarding the strengths and targets have been made, and they will definitely affect development of current and future policies in the various sectors, including also agriculture and forestry, or so-called these land sectors. We do our utmost to reduce emissions, and what is left we must cover by removals. The only sector which can provide these natural removals are the LULUCF and agriculture sector. Removals can also be created by technical solutions like these carbon removal technologies. But at least in Latvian case, carbon removal technologies are at the very beginning of their technological development, and presumably will take quite a long period of time to reach their potential. So where the Latvia stands now, as you see in the slide, since mid-2000s, there has been a significant decrease in removals in forest lands. And on the emissions side, there has been significant increase in emissions, particularly from the wetlands. Also, emissions from the croplands and grasslands shows quite stable emission pattern. As you see, in the situation in Latvia is quite challenging. Year by year, we are losing removals, and since 2022, forest land is in emission side. And the reason for that is partly because it is a sector related to natural processes, which are difficult to predict. Also, from the perspective of geopolitical crisis that we have been going through lately. So still this picture does not look good for the perspective of set targets to reach our target for 2030. Sorry. So it's a bit difficult because I have to do it with the mouse, not with the other means. So to keep the member states on track for reaching their targets, the EU has set and adopted this LULUCF regulation, which consists of two phases, one from 2021 to 2025, that must ensure that GHG emissions in the country's territory does not exceed the base level of removals, and the phase two from 2026 to 2030, where each member state has a separate goal for the LULUCF sector. But also what I wanted to show you in the slide is the common EU trend in the LULUCF sector. We can see that there is a common EU upward tendency in LULUCF removal part. Black line shows where the EU stands now in CO2 removals and where we have to be in 2030. It is clear that also at the EU level we are moving in the away from the set targets, so it's quite hard goal to reach without impacting other sectors. So to create the framework for the climate targets, each member state has to develop a national energy and climate plan. Now we are in the process of updating it, and these are the measures we are including in our new NECP for the LULUCF sector. In the slide, you can see there's a list of different measures currently identified as the most effective ones. And in the bold, you can see the measures that have been included from the live OrgBalt project. However, these measures bringing certain economical limitations are financially very intensive. We are having high expectations for the carbon farming uptake, and these measures can be financed by private means through these carbon market removals, carbon removal markets. This is still, however, are unclear for the future of the climate policy, which is uncertain, and we cannot predict how carbon farming will be implemented on the larger scale. Also, there are some limitations for the scheme at the moment in the carbon removal framework regulation expert group. They are discussing that, for example, afforestation of organic soils will not be permitted under this regulation. Sorry. So there are still a lot of work to be done, and very tough political decisions has to be, and also practical decisions has to be taken to find the most effective and scientifically justified ways to reduce our GHG emissions and increase captures in the sector already in 2030, which is rather short period of time in the context of land management. Current conclusion is that most effective ways to achieve the goals, which comes as a result also from this project, would be afforestation of organic soils, but also of low quality soils, together with hydrological regimes and revetting of drained soils and wetlands. The carbon certification regulation, which was also mentioned in the previous presentation, would be helpful, but it's not the only legislative initiative where organic soils has been addressed. There is a tendency from the EU side to come forward with new proposals, which in a way limits the possibilities for member states to choose the most suitable solutions for them. Let's mention, for example, this nature restoration law, which is still under the approval process, but can influence our current work. Our current work. Or also the setting of the 2040 climate targets, where the organic soils could possibly play a huge role. on achieving climate targets, especially in our region, which are rich of them. So we can only guess that somehow they might be affected in this document. The organic soils might be affected in these documents later on. However, none of these legislative proposals has been adopted yet, but they definitely can still play a role in our future decision-making process. So to conclude, I give just a short summary, of it of my presentation. Is several measures reached by this project have been included in our NECP, and we hope that they can help us come closer to those LULUCF targets for 2030. We are also planning to update organic soil emission factors, basing them on the live OrgBalt project results. And also we are sincerely inviting project partner countries, policymakers, also to consider using live OrgBalt project results when developing their climate policies. Also, we are missing actually data for vetting measures and paludriculture. And it's because during the preparation of the project proposal, revetting measures were not that widely discussed as they are currently. And last but not least, research on organic soils focusing on continuous emission measurements in typical locations by considering revetting measures should be continued. So this is briefly it from my side, and I just thank you for attention. And also would like to say you that to have a fruitful discussion for today's conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Dace. Before we let you go, we have several questions. Our audience is encouraged to ask questions, so let me read them. Knowing all the challenges in the past and in front of us in targeting climate neutrality goals, what would be the one wish you would love to see fulfilled regarding science and policy interaction?
My answer would, I think the science is the one of the main instruments for us to go forward and reach those targets. I think this is the most important thing. Without science, we actually can't really do anything. So I think in that sense, the science is the key, and these kind of projects really much help us to go forward and to find the best ways to reach those targets or to come closer to those targets.
Okay. About afforestation, will it be done on all peat soils?
No, actually, I don't know what the person who asked the question. I know that actually the NECP is the plan to do. This is basically, in our case, this is not the plan. Of course, this is the kind of we can do the initiative, put initiatives on the table and some financial maybe interest for the landowners to do these activities. But it's definitely not our task to do afforestation on all the peatlands. This is only by checking, analyzing the best possible way in terms of climate measures. Then our scientists are really proposing that this is the one who gives the biggest benefits in the climate, in the reaching of climate targets. So, but it's not our aim to do afforestation in all the peatlands. Definitely not.
Right. I see from questions that we have emotions involved as well, which is fine. I mean, human beings are emotional. So, if such uncertainty is linked to carbon removal, why NECP is relying largely on the unknown? If it
so
is.
Yes, a lot of these, my answer would be that a lot of these, the new initiatives are uncertain at the moment. As I mentioned in the proposal, there's not only carbon removal certification regulation is not under it's still under the scrutiny, and we are not knowing how it's going to end up. There's also other initiatives which are, as I mentioned, can really tackle the peatlands and the wetland side and organic soil part. So, but yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. We are relying on it because carbon farming is the instrument to do this. So this is the one of the instruments we can do. For the moment, there's not too many other possibilities actually to plan the financing part. Mm-hmm. So this is one of the hard topic, I think, also in the future discussions about the financing possibility. But the carbon farming we see as one of the it's still uncertain, of course, but it's still one of the financing possibilities to invest and to implement those measures.
Okay. You work in the ministry, so from the policymaker's perspective, how would you rate the importance of research and demonstration projects like this one, like OrgBalt, in supporting European and national policy planning?
Actually, we would love to see more projects like this, where the policymakers can work closer to improve the project results and also to turn the policy into the practical. The science in the practical meaning. So my answer would be that these kind of projects are it's very good to do this, and I think we have to do even more on those.
Okay. The more you say things, the more questions come in. I mean, I don't know, how do we end this? Do you have time? It's fine with you? Because we have a lot of this. In this system, Slido, that we use, you can actually like questions, and this one got 3 likes. I mean, it doesn't sound a lot, but it's the most. I mean, that's a little provocation, I believe. So how can you invite policymakers to use OrgBalt or project results if the research is based just on 2 years of greenhouse gases measurements?
And also mentioned that we have to continue these kind of measurements. Of course, 2 years are quite short period of time in the scientific terms, but we have to continue these kind of projects and to develop and to improve the quality of the results, of course.
Mm-hmm. All right. So about solutions. Isn't it better to save long-term carbon store in peat by rewetting than gamble it for short to mid-term store in timber grown on drained peatlands? So imagine you're in a casino. So what do you bet on?
I think 50-50. I don't know, because
it's safe. 50-50. Let's.
I think that both of these measures can give some kind of benefit, but not always. In all the places, one or other is suitable. So you have to really see side by side and situation by situation. So not always deforestation is possible in that case, or maybe not rewetting is possible. So it's really you really have to investigate before doing something like that. So yeah, that could be my answer. So the both are possible measures, but you have to really see and to analyze the situation on the ground, what is possible, what is not possible, and what kind of benefits it gives.
All right. I'm not sure if you can cover this one because it relates to other EU countries. I mean, at least the question says it states that most of EU countries stop afforestation of peat soils due to both economic and climate reasons and move to rewetting. Well, is it so? And if yes, then what's different in Latvia? What's your take on this?
I would say I haven't had this kind of information. Of course, every member state now is preparing their NECP. So those are the first submission time was last year, I think November. So the first draft was there. The new drafts are not submitted yet. So I cannot say that the member states are choosing that measure or this measure. So we have to first see the member states, the proposed plans, and then I can answer to the question. But it's possible, but at the same time, I cannot give you an answer for the moment.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it's quite broad, I think. What measures are planned for carbon removal certification in Latvia to make benefit from private finance for organic soils and peatland revetting?
For the moment, as I mentioned, the carbon removal certification, this common framework, is still under preparation in the EU institutions and together, of course, with member states. There are several private schemes working in Latvia currently. There, of course, I'm not going to comment on the private initiatives. So there are several private schemes working and giving support to this carbon farming measures. But as I mentioned, currently there's no common framework, none on the EU level, not on the member state level. I mean, in Latvian level, there's some member states which probably has these national carbon farming schemes, but not in the not on the EU common and Latvian level. There are some measures in the common agriculture policy strategic plan. So, but this is the link to the agriculture common agriculture policy, and also the financing coming from there. But like making some framework with some separate measures, there's not it's still not under the it's not still not approved, none in EU, none in Latvia.
Actually, the Slido questions are seen by the whole audience in the room, so I have to read them. Right. So EU's common agricultural policy subsidies are encouraging cultivation of organic soils. So can we stop paying subsidies to cultivate organic soils?
I wouldn't really, I cannot comment for the moment because this is a common CAP strategic plan. There's a guide too, yes, there's some measures, and it's also should be protected in the EU terms. And there's still consultation process going on inside the ministry together with the European Commission. How to, because for Latvia, there's 2025, the year where we have to start to implement this, the guide standards. So yeah, this is still under the consideration and discussions together with the different kind of organizations how we as Latvia will implement this guide standard.
Okay, so will member states at some point would need to enter the voluntary market and purchase carbon credits to achieve the EU goals?
It's very difficult, as I say, for the moment, there's too many unknown things in the future. There's like as I mentioned, the 2040 targets, 2050, the nature restoration law, the carbon farming removal scheme, and also the new parliament, which is just came into the just elected. So we don't know what will be there. So it's such a this question is such difficult to answer. Actually, I don't have the crystal ball or something to answer these kinds.
Exactly. Yeah, I love skipping questions. It's just a part of life, isn't it? I mean, you leave it, for the later stage. You mentioned the 2040 goals. So, what's your point of view about Latvia's view? Is it realistic? I mean, what's our national official policy about it? Maybe you can.
The goal hasn't been set yet. Those who know maybe more about the legislative process in the EU. There's just a report, if I'm not mistaken, from the Commission side proposing something, but it's still under discussion. So there is no particular goal set. Of course, there's a national position in the preparation, and we are, of course, from our side, really explaining also our taking the current experience with the reaching the 2030 goal. So we also giving our input in this, preparing our national position on that, just explaining where we see the difficulties and in that sense, taking the experience from the current situation and looking forward for the 2050 goals.
The question about biodiversity. what do you think? How would NECP plans of reforesting poor soils, poor is, as I quote here from the question, how would that affect biodiversity in these areas? Do you have an opinion or fact?
Poor quality soils. No, I think this is at least from the climate perspective, this is the way how we can move closer to and the poor quality soils. There are sometimes, yeah, they are the grasslands maybe on those, but for the agriculture use, they are maybe not the best the way to use it for agriculture, because yeah, these quality soils are not really giving the outputs. By the same time, you have to give out inputs to produce the decent to receive a decent income from this kind of land. So the afforestation could be one of also the solution for the farmer or the landowner to get some additional benefit.
All right, that's if somebody asks you how was the day today, I mean, and you just might go like, I was doing this keynote in the presentation, but the questions, I mean, those were tough. That was yeah. So thanks for surviving this Q&A session, and thanks for the presentation. And yeah, best of luck with what you do. Thank you.